Dodo birds. What are they? Dodo birds were a group of flightless birds of Mauritius. These birds were first seen by Portuguese sailors in about 1507. They were described as flightless, about 3 feet tall, with gray down feathers and a white plume tail. These large birds could reach a weight of over 20 kilograms or 44 pounds. Nowadays, the name dodo means stupid or slow, but the dodo bird likely got its name in the 17th century, developing from the Portuguese dodo or simpleton, because this bird wasn't afraid of humans and were easy to hunt and kill. Where it all began, all the way back to 20 million years ago, tropical pigeons from Southeast Asia flew across the Indian Ocean from island to island, and eventually their descendants reached an archipelago east of Madagascar. And after the tropical pigeons diversified, a volcano rises up from the ground and formed an island called Mauritius. And as some of the birds lived there over time, dodo birds evolved into their own species. Dodo birds shared their habitat with bats, lizards, and large tortoises. Why dodos were defenseless? Mauritius was very far away from other islands where predators would have roamed, so the dodo birds didn't need to evolve defense mechanisms such as flight. And because they didn't need to fly, their flight muscles shrank. Dodo birds nested and laid their eggs on the ground, where the babies would have access to nuts and fruits. Not only were dodo birds adapted to the harsh weather conditions, they also survived many mass disruptions. The interference. About 1598, the Dutch sailors soon discovered Mauritius. The sailors had described the birds twice the size of swans and huge tortoises with shells that could fit 10 men. The dodo birds were not adapted or evolved to fear humans, so they were easy to catch and eat. But this alone didn't cause the extinction of dodos. And unfortunately, the Dutch sailors brought various animals with them, little macaques, goats, pigs, and at some point rats. The pigs, goats, and macaques feasted on the dodo birds' eggs, and they would compete with dodos for food. The true end of dodos. The dodos were unfortunately last seen a century after Dutch sailors invaded Mauritius. However, at the time, people didn't believe that species could go extinct. It wasn't until the 1792 where a scientist suggested the concept of extinction, and dodos were proved to be extinct. But by then, people thought dodos were just a myth, like unicorns and dragons. That is until scientists and dig sites proved otherwise. Conclusion. Dodo birds weren't dumb, adapted, or already doomed. They were great survivors and adapted to their environment. They just weren't ready for invasive species invading their home. And neither were the animals that lived alongside them, like the raven parrots, fruit bats, or giant tortoises. End.